Hello. I hadn't planned to do this video quite just yet, but a lot of people have decided to start crocheting and they want to start with amigurumi. In other words, these three-dimensional dolls or animals, and you can even make food. That's amigurumi. It's basically crochet that isn't something flat like this. It's something three-dimensional. That's what amigurumi means. So I tried to record this video yesterday and it was a small disaster. It really didn't work out. And I just think I have too much to explain for somebody who's an absolute beginner, so I've decided to break it up in two videos. And this one today is on how to read a crochet pattern, more specifically an amigurumi pattern. I will also try to cover the basics of a crochet pattern that isn't amigurumi, but I'm focusing more on amigurumi for now because that's what people seem to be interested in, and I can't blame you because they are very, very cute. I've done this all up in my computer. I've got it all saved, so if you'd like a copy, just let me know and I'll email it to you or send it over on Instagram or something. So let's go. Amigurumi is frequently the most common stitch we're going to use is the US single crochet, which is the equivalent of double crochet in the UK. And this is what the stitch looks like. It looks like a little V or a little X depending on how you make it. I make mine to look more like X's because I prefer that. And they normally also start with a magic ring or magic circle. I'll teach this in my next video. But just so you can read a pattern, the magic circle or magic ring will be represented by an MC or MR. It can also be called an adjustable ring, and it all means the same thing. I'll do one quickly here so you know what I'm referring to. So I loop the yarn the same way I do for a slip knot. Wrap it over my fingers with the short end in my hand and wrap it over my fingers again over the first bit, creating an X, pull this, and then I create a slip knot just to hold it in place by pulling it through this loop. So this is what a magic ring or magic circle or adjustable ring is. I'm baffled by the number of names a simple thing can have, but that's crochet for you. Okay? And with amigurumi we frequently work our first stitches into this ring, and I'll just do a few here as an example. So 1, 2, 3, 4. This is what happens when you do it in a hurry. You split the yarn. 5. Let's see if I have 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I actually have 6, and that's the number I wanted. And you can adjust your ring this way. Again, I'll show this technique in more detail and a lot slower in my next video, so please refer to that because this was just a very quick example of what a magic ring is, and it allows you to start a circular project without any gap here in the middle. Okay, so this is frequently how amigurumi patterns start, with a magic ring and the number of stitches you put into that ring. Then you also have increases and decreases. So I'm going to put my next stitch here into this V. And an increase is when you do 2 or more stitches in the same space. So we've already put a stitch in here, and I'm going to add yet another one, and that's an increase. Increases are normally 2 stitches inside one previous stitch. Okay, I'm going to do that again. Let my camera focus. There you go. So I have this next V, and I'm going to put 2 single crochets in there. It's an increase. 1, 2 in the same space. So where I had 2 stitches before, now I have 4. And in patterns, it's often represented by ink for increase, or 2 single crochet in the next stitch, or single crochet increase. And in this example, I'm only using single crochet because that's the most common stitch for amigurumi. Okay, and so just so you can understand that, I'm going to do it again. I think I'm going to change colors so you can see what I'm doing. I'm going to change colors and yarn. I'm going to put something completely different in here. It's just for example's sake. So here you have one stitch, which is, it forms this little V, and we're going to put 2 stitches in the space of this one stitch. So 1, and again, where we've just put that first one, we're going to put the second one. I think it really shows better with the different color, doesn't it? And again, we're going to do 2 single crochets in the space of this one V. 1, 2, and that's what an increase is. The next thing that you're going to see a lot in amigurumi and in any crochet pattern pretty much are decreases, which is obviously the opposite of an increase, which is making 2 stitches turn into 1. And in patterns they'll normally be written as dec for decrease, or single crochet decrease, or single crochet 2 together. So SC 2 tog, which means 2 single crochets together. I'm going to undo these increases so I can show you some decreases in contrasting yarn. And this is an amigurumi technique. This is for working in the round. Don't do this when you're working on a flat project. This is called the invisible decrease. So I'm going to go into, instead of going in to the stitch this way like I normally would, I'm going to go only into the front loop. You can see there's this front loop that's facing me, and there's this back loop which is facing the wall in my case. So I'm going to go in only into the front loop, and I'm going to go in to the front loop of the next stitch because I'm going to make these 2 stitches become 1 stitch. So I've got 3 loops on my hook. I'm going to yarn over and pull through all, and yarn over and pull through. So those 2 stitches have become 1. And I'm going to do that one more time. Insert my hook into the front loop, insert my hook into the next front loop. It's a bit hard to do this on the first round of stitches like I'm doing, but it's okay for an example. And you pull through both of those loops, yarn over and pull through both, and that's a decrease. If you're working on a flat project like this, the decrease is going to be different, and I'll show that in a different video. And please, these are only quick examples. I promise to do a more detailed video on increases and decreases for amigurumi. This is just so you know what I'm talking about when I talk about increases and decreases. The instructions in a pattern that come between asterisks or different types of brackets are often repeated. So I have an example. I have a few examples here. And these are examples I got from real patterns that I've paid for, and that's why I typed it up, so I'm not breaking anyone's copyright. How do I say it? So yeah, I'm respecting people's work, so I've just put it in this way so I'm not breaking any copyright laws or anything. Sorry, I needed a drink. So here, for example, we have single crochet in the first 3 stitches, 2 single crochet in the next stitch. And I have these little stars or asterisks, and that means we're going to repeat this instruction this number of times. I'll come back to this. And at the end of a line in a pattern, or at the end of a set of instructions, you'll have a number between brackets, and that's the total number of stitches you're going to have in the row or round. Round is when we're working in a circle, and row is when we're working flat. So for this example, it's a flat project. It's just an example I made for my videos, and we're going to count how many stitches we have. So using the top here, we're going to count how many V's we have. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, up to the last one, 17. Okay, so at the end of the pattern for this, you would have had 17 between brackets. So here, I've written up some different instructions. These are all from real patterns that I've bought. Okay, and the little groups mean that it all means the same thing. So these are all different ways of writing exactly the same thing. So that's why reading crochet patterns can be a bit tricky, because each author is going to write it differently. If you buy a crochet magazine, for example, this one, this is Crochet Now. I think it's the only crochet magazine I've ever bought. The magazine will have a key to the it will have a key to the summaries, or like for the codes that are used. Here we go, last page. Here you have the standard abbreviations. So I'll just let you see this quickly. You have alternate beginning, work in back loops only, contrasting color, chain space, and DC 2 together. It means to work 2 double crochet stitches together. And these are the abbreviations that this magazine uses. So when you look at a pattern in this magazine, it's going to use those abbreviations. Here, for example, it's a pattern for this lovely mother goose with her ducklings. And first things first, this magazine is British, so the terminology is all British, and that's important because, as I've mentioned before, the words change between one and another. So pay attention to the type of yarn you have to use, the size of hook, how difficult or easy the pattern is, and the yarns used. You can use a different brand. This is just what was used here. And in patterns and magazines, they'll often give a letter to each color so that they don't have to write with white or with buttercream crochet so many chains. So they'll just have a letter assigned to each color. Let me cover this so that nobody can take a screenshot. I really don't want to get sued. So this just tells you what supplies you need, and you can start crocheting. So just a little bit off the pattern here. Again, trying not to break anyone's copyright rights. Is that the right way to say it? I don't know. So here, to work with Mother Goose with A, which is color A, working into a magic ring. Remember, I told you this happened a lot. 6 DC, and you join that in the end. And then here's second round. 1 chain, 2 DC in next stitch, 6 times. So here we have instructions between brackets, which means we're going to repeat them. And the 6 times tells you how many times you're going to repeat them. Okay, and that's I find that patterns in magazines and books are frequently the most hard to follow, and PDF patterns you buy from people on Etsy or Ravelry or other sites are frequently easier to read. So these are examples of patterns I bought from like independent designers, and I've just rewritten it so that all of them say the same thing. So here, single crochet in first 3 stitches, 2 single crochet in next stitch, single crochet in the last 3 stitches. And it's like, oh, this was so confusing at first. So I'm going to try to explain this the way I understand it. I've highlighted in blue all the different terms for increase, which is to make bigger. And I'm actually going to do this with you so you can see what this means. Okay, so I've magically made a magic circle with 7 stitches in it, and we're going to follow these instructions, okay? And these 3 all mean the same thing. So it means to single crochet in the first 3 stitches, in other words, 3 single crochet or 3 single crochet. Okay, so I'm going to crochet 3. 1. So I know where I started. I'm going to insert a stitch marker here. 1, 2, 3. I've done the first part. I've done 3 single crochet. Next, I'm going to increase, or 2 single crochet in the next stitch, or as this one says, 2 single crochet in the next stitch. So this is my next stitch, and I'm going to make 2 single crochet. My poor camera is struggling to focus today. I think it's because I have written stuff underneath, but I don't know how else to do this. So I'm going to do 2 single crochet in this same stitch. I've done 1, and I'm going to do another one, 2. Okay, and then I have to single crochet in the last 3 stitches, or another 3 single crochet, or as this one says, 3 single crochet. I have 3 more stitches here to use, and I'm going to put 1 single crochet in each. 1, 2, 3. And it says I should have 8 stitches at the end of this round, so let's count. The first one where I put my marker in. Let me take this out so you can actually see what I'm doing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I know I got things right because I have the right number of total stitches in this round, which would be this number here. Okay, I've done different instructions with repetitions this time, okay? And this one is single crochet in the first 3 stitches, and then an increase, or 2 single crochet in the next stitch. Again, all the increases are highlighted in blue, so you know that these 3 things mean exactly the same thing. It means doing 2 stitches in the space of 1. So here you have 1 space, and you're going to put 2 stitches in there. And this is the symbol you would have if you were reading a crochet graph, but don't get me started on those. I don't really understand them. You can see I used to be a teacher because I have like this instinct to write on the board or on the paper. So this isn't really going to work out in terms of count because it's just an example, but let's just carry on with the same example, okay? So I'm going to single crochet in the first 3 stitches, and then I'm going to have an increase. And because I have the asterisks and 2 times, I'm going to do it twice. You'll notice that these don't include twice or 2 times. In this case, it means you're just supposed to repeat it until you meet your stitch marker again, okay? So here, I fixed the circle so now that our count will work out. So we have to do 3 single crochet, 3 single crochet, and then an increase, and we have to repeat this until we meet our stitch marker again, or twice as the first version tells us. So 3 single crochet, 1, 2, 3. Now we're going to increase or do 2 double crochet or single crochet in the same stitch, 1, 2 in the same stitch, 3 again, 1, 2, 2, 3, an increase again. So here it's an increase or 2 single crochet in next stitch, however you want to write it or however it's written in your pattern. So here we're going to do 2 in the same space, 1, 2, and that's it. Let me adjust the ring so it looks nice. And another tip for working in the round is you're going to notice your work starts curving upwards at some point, and you have to make sure you have the right side of the project out, because in working in circles you have a right side and a wrong side to the project. So this is the right side and this is the wrong side. You can see it looks quite different, and normally the tail end of your magic circle stays to the wrong side so you can hide it inside your project. Okay, so you'll see the wrong side has these little bumps and the right side looks a lot smoother. And just to check, we were supposed to have 10 stitches at the end of this sequence, so counting from our stitch marker, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There we go. We've got 10 stitches, so things are clearly working out. Okay, so now we've talked about increasing and I'm going to talk about decreasing. As you can see, I made a mistake here. I copied and pasted it. These are all different ways of writing decreases, and again, this in deck is focused more on amigurumi making than anything else. So we have 5 single crochet and then single crochet 2 together, which is a decrease. Again, I've highlighted them in blue so you know what the decrease part of the pattern is, to help you figure things out in different patterns and different ways they're written. So here we're going to have 5 single crochet and then single crochet 2 together 3 times. Another way of saying that, or another way you'll find this in patterns, is single crochet in next 5 stitches, single crochet 2 together, or SC2 tog 3 times. Or 5 single crochet deck 3 times. Sometimes people don't put the parentheses or the asterisks. That happens. Or 5 single crochet decrease, or SC deck, or DC deck if you're in a British pattern. And another way I've seen it done is 5 single crochet in next 5 stitches, invisible decrease. And of course you can have a mix and match of all these different styles. But normally a pattern maker, if they start writing single crochet 2 together, they'll continue with that structure throughout the text. But I just wanted to show you not only the different terms for single crocheting decrease or 2 together, but also the different ways it comes written in different patterns, because I found this very confusing at first. So now I'm going to show you what this looks like crocheting. I've improved that little circle I was working on, and I'm going to do this in a contrasting color, and hopefully that will help. So I'm going to single crochet in 5 stitches, and then I'm going to do a decrease, And because we're talking about amigurumi, I'm going to do an invisible decrease. I'm going to teach you that. Might as well, no? Off to the side you go. So starting at our stitch marker, we're going to single crochet 5. That's what our pattern told us to do. So 1, put this back in, 1, 2, so here we have 5. If you've lost your count, just flip it over and have a look. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And now we're going to decrease. And like I said, I'm going to make an invisible decrease because this gives you the best appearance in amigurumi. So for the invisible decrease, you'll see you have a little V here from the stitch, and we're going to work only in the front loop of the V. So for a normal stitch, you'd insert your hook in both loops, but for an invisible decrease, you're going to insert it only into the front loop. Okay? And we want to turn 2 stitches into 1. So we're going to do this in the next stitch also, only in the front loop. And now you're going to yarn over and pull through those 2 front loops and yarn over and pull through 2. And that turns 2 stitches into 1 without giving you a hole in your project, because again in amigurumi the secret is all hiding and avoiding holes so that you don't have the stuffing poking through, because that just looks bad and it's not safe if you're going to make toys for a baby or for a pet. So the pattern told us to repeat that 3 times. We've done it once, or in this case it didn't tell us to repeat, but you just know that you're supposed to do that until you get to your stitch counter or stitch marker again. So 1, we've done another 5, and now we're going to we're going to decrease again. So front loop, put it in that next front loop, yarn under, pull through, yarn over, pull through. We're going to do that again, another 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we have only 2 stitches left. So we're going to put our hook into the front loop, put it into the next front loop, yarn over and pull through, yarn over and pull through, and there we go. According to the pattern, we should have 18 stitches. So let's check. Always start counting from your stitch counter because that was your first stitch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. So we know we got it right. And that's how you decrease. And how decrease can be written in, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4 different ways. And people might still write it differently. So just pay attention to how things are written in each different pattern. And here I've just quickly listed a few of the most common abbreviations for patterns. The first thing to do, as I've mentioned before, is check where your pattern was written or in which terms it was written, because sometimes I get South African patterns that are written in US terms, or even an Australian pattern written in US terms, and I've even seen British patterns written in US terms. So check if it's a book, check where it was printed, and that should give you a good tip, okay, as to if it's US or UK terms. Regardless of the terms used, the abbreviations tend to be the same, but they mean different things. So CH will be chain stitch, SS will be slip stitch, SC single crochet, HDC would be half double crochet, which in the UK is the HTC, which is the half treble crochet. Again, they're the same stitch, different names. Double crochet is DC, TR is treble crochet, CH is chain space, FLO is front loop only. We use this for the invisible decrease. BLO is the back loop only. It's the one we didn't work in for the invisible decrease. Inc is increase and dec is decrease. And remember that the increase and decrease can be written in all these different ways. So how to find out what each abbreviation means in a pattern? Aha! Frequently come with a key for abbreviation. So this is a paid pattern. I highly recommend it because it's absolutely adorable. It's a wonderful pattern. I'm just going to show you the abbreviations. Again, not infringing on anyone's copyrights. So in a pattern, you'll find a key with the abbreviation. So in this case, you have R for row around, CH for chain, ST for stitch, SS for slip stitch, SC for single crochet, HDC for half double crochet, DC for double crochet, TRC for triple or treble, it's the same thing, crochet, PS for puff stitch, which is a different stitch, and this pattern includes instructions on how to make this puff stitch. Asterisk means that the section between asterisks will be repeated. REM is remaining and TOG is together. Another pattern, so you can see how most good patterns will have a key of abbreviations. So this is a pattern for Romy the Giraffe by My Chrissy Dolls. Again, another very good pattern. I really liked how she wrote patterns, how she writes patterns, because she still writes them. And in this case, this first page, you'll see all the materials you need, the hook size that they recommend, the yarns that were used that are recommended. You don't have to always use the same yarn because this pattern, for example, is Dutch, and I couldn't find these yarns in the UK, so I just used British yarns. And you can just buy the same thickness of yarn. So in this case she uses sock yarn, so you just have to find another type of sock yarn. I wanted my giraffe to be bigger, so I made it with Aran or worsted yarn, and then it came out bigger. So if you have a pattern with very thin yarn for amigurumi and you want to make a bigger doll, you just have to buy thicker wool and you don't have to do any maths. And here you have the abbreviations. So again, ST or STS are stitch and stitches, and I'll just let you read that for yourself and I won't interrupt with my annoying voice. Here you can see how the increases are written differently. You have 2SC increase, 2DC increase, 2HDC increase, and single crochet 2 together for decreases. So this is my video on how to read a pattern, and I thought it would be fair to work on a mini pattern with you, but I'll do that in my next video on how to do amigurumi, so please check that out. I won't go into so much detail about how to read that pattern because hopefully you've understood that by now with this video. And please check out my next video with instructions on how to do amigurumi with the main single crochet stitch, magic circle, and other things that I'm still thinking about. I hope you've enjoyed it and I hope you're not too bored. Thank you for watching.